do our opening prayer in a moment. You're not signed on yet, right? Because you can't? Holy, sacred, Father, Mother, God, we, your creation, your children, ask that you join our hearts and minds into one intention. That is to know the will of God, which is the same as saying to know ourselves. Guide us and show us, remind us who we are. Help us to have the courage to peel away all that is unlike our holiness and to step into who we really are. Let the layers of illusion, resistance, unhealed wounds, ego be peeled away as effortlessly and as thoroughly as possible, so that we can then declare, as we welcome in your holy presence, when you see me, you see the Father, Mother, God. Each of us will know that, not in external egoic exclamations to the world, but just a knowing, a comfort, a gratitude. It feels so good to be the presence of God everywhere I go. And in advance for all of this, and for being able to bring this to the world and to our brothers and sisters in the world, we give thanks. And so it is.
From Paramahansa Yogananda, change your thoughts if you wish to change your circumstances. Since you alone are responsible for your thoughts, only you can change them. You will strongly desire to change your thoughts when you realize that each thought creates according to its own nature. Habits of thoughts are mental magnets that draw to you certain things, people, and conditions. Remember that this law works at all times. You are always demonstrating according to the kind of thoughts you habitually entertain. Start now to think only those thoughts that bring you love, peace, health, and happiness. Guide your thoughts to create only as God, only good, in accordance with God, with His will and purposes. And so it is.
How's everyone doing today? Good. Thank you for joining us. My name is Michael Mirdad, and I serve here as part of the spiritual leadership. Can you share with me what topics you want me to cover today? What's on your mind? What's going on in your life and in the world that's truly, something you want greater insight on?
Dealing with angry people.
Angry people? That really makes me angry. What? Surrender? Yes?
Tropica.
Angels.
Spinoza. What? Good? Okay. Spinoza was a philosopher, I believe, of the Stoic nature, but I think he was hilarious. I do. There's something about him that whenever I see him, I start laughing a little bit. He just had this eccentric look to him. In any case, dealing with angry people, surrender, judgment, these various topics that were requested. And the ones that weren't voiced, that weren't maybe clear to voice, or the ones you were apprehensive to go into, to ask or to bring up. Those of you who don't know, we just sort of ask folks what's happening, and we allow a process to happen, a channeling, if it were, but as it were. But this is the first time I think I've explained it like this, what we do, or I usually just do things, you know. But explaining it for a moment, it's people sometimes are wowed, like, wow, you just, the words come up and then you just weave it. That's because we're all capable of knowing everything at all times, all of us. We just need to learn to believe that. Now, that's kind of funny to say that, because some people go, well, yeah, it's easy for you to say. You know, it's not easy for me to say. I think it was there. Past lives developed that sort of thing. But I'm not going to go and credit past lives. I have angels around me. They help. But I'm not going to credit them. And they know I'm not going to credit them. I'm not going to tell you it's because of what sign I am or how many air elements in my sign. I don't credit anything. I just do it. And that's important. Because if it's things that I could credit, you'll think that if you don't have it, you can't do it. And I don't believe in that. So don't look for, you have to have something in your chart to be able to be psychic or intuitive. You have to have something in your numerology that this, past lives, that. It doesn't matter. You can come from the worst of every lifetime and in a split second make a different choice. And just believe that you're valuable, that you are worthy of channeling the presence of God. And that's just been there. I don't have like a mega education or anything like that. If it was possible, I would have probably never even gone to kindergarten. School never did it for me. But I have always believed in God, and I've always believed in, asking. I didn't always get answers. I went through terrible teens, like some people do, challenging times. So any of us can turn our lives around and become greater vessels. But if I were to summarize it so that we can maybe wrap our mind around it more easily, learn to believe that you can do a search find in here. Search find. So a topic, angels. Then just allow. Don't come from your head, because that immediately closes the truth. Just allow. What do you feel about angels? You could be sitting in, I don't care, a laundromat, and somebody says, I don't know if I believe in angels. And they look at you and you just smile, and they know, uh-oh, you seem like you know about angels. I do, and then who knows? 20 minutes later, you're, running around the laundromat with a sheet like you're an angel. Whatever. This is Sedona. You can get away with that. So just believe. Just try and say something. Usually you can tell when you're coming from your head, because you start contriving the wording and you start doubting and stumbling over. And when you see that, don't shame yourself. Just you can even say to people, let me pause for a moment, because I'm saying things a little too fast, or whatever words that gently describes what's going on. You don't have to say, I went off track, I'm channeling the wrong entities. You just, just be mellow with it. And on that note, I've been saying for years, and especially re-emphasizing a couple months ago, and now even more, the veils are thinning between dimensions. Literally, the veils are thinning. In Genesis, we heard that after the fall, the various dimensions were being separated because there was this bizarre interaction. All beings were running from this dimension to that. Everybody could see everything. God was walking in the garden. Dark beings were walking in the garden. Mankind was tormented by all kinds of things. But when we subconsciously said, this is too much, we need help, well, we didn't select which beings to listen to. We said it's all too much. And we retreated, sadly, in a way. It's sad, but That means we no longer could hear God's voice as thoroughly. The good news is we weren't hearing darkness as thoroughly either. But all that said, the veils are thinning again because we're going home. This is all coming to a close soon. It's all processing out. Ascension, fifth dimensionality, but fifth dimensionality is nothing. I mean, it is, but it isn't. Don't think that fifth dimension is the end. Any dimensionality isn't all the way home yet. In God, there is no such thing as dimensionality. But humans like to go, wait, I'm willing to go up one dimension, but I don't want to be overwhelmed here. Are we still going to have carnivals and things I could go to? No. Okay, then I want 3D. I want to keep my 3D reality. And then everybody's got to wait because of this learning curve, this grading curve. You got humans involved. So the grading curve is like, we still have to allow all kinds of strange and twisted things. The good news about the veils thinning is that we can hear more directly, channel more directly the voice of God. And when I say voice of God, I don't mean anything I'm saying is almost never going to mean religiously speaking. I'm talking about spiritually speaking. That anyone, somebody's most troubled childhood right now, someone who's dealt with addiction, someone who's been lost and afraid, and people who have been brilliant, all people still have an equal opportunity to hear the voice of God more clearly because the veils are thinning. If you know this, then you'll be greater with your priorities being set as to what voice you want to hear. If you're new to this, it can get a little weird because if you don't know what your priorities are, what voices you want to hear, then anything goes. And there are beings that love taking advantage of that. So let's just call this a training real quick. All of us on planet Earth that are hearing this message, set your priorities. I only want to hear the voice of God. And beings that honor the voice of God. You can add to it if you want. I only want those that are in service of the light in Jesus Christ, or whatever words you feel like you need to use. That's fine. But don't settle for anything less than the ultimate. God of the highest heaven, God. You know, let's be willing to set our intention that direction. And when we set that, you're sort of parting the sea, as Moses and the metaphor of that. You're parting the sea saying, I only want the promised land. And the promised land isn't just a historic location for one group. The promised land, think of it as this, the promised memory of who we really are. It's a metaphor of getting home, not to a piece of geology, a piece of, topography, a place, a region on the earth planet. It's consciousness, the consciousness of God. So keep in mind, the veil's getting thinner means we can listen to the voice of God, but set your priority straight of what that means to you. The bad news is that hearing the voices, the veils thinning, all dimensions converging, it means you're also messed with a little more. The voice of addiction might try to call you back, voice of your old patterns, angry behaviors, stubbornness, all kinds of things like that. And it can even get worse. I mean, you can become oppressed, possessed, whatever it might be. It's not always horrible, dark entities. Sometimes it's even just, like I said, your own personality disorders, your own personality dysfunctions. But these are not the voice of God. Some of us would go, well, this is intense, man. So I have to really get my priorities straight. I mean, sometimes I just don't mind a little other voices. Well, you have to start minding because that sort of lukewarm behavior, that I'm okay, is what has brought us into the mess we're in. People have to learn. The dark beings are what's causing political unrest, racial unrest, all kinds of things. Look at the tensions in the world. And I'm telling you, it's not an accident. This is the veils getting thinner and people being messed with in their minds to become more angry, to go, and gossip more or hate more. See, it enables anger. And one of you is asking, dealing with angry people. Forgive them, they know not what they do. But know this. They may very well be hearing voices that are not of God, obviously, whether it's their own ego voices or whatever. They know not what they do, but that does not mean you allow them to continue doing it to you. The voice in them could be enabling anger. Your voice is allowed to say, get behind me, Satan. I'm not in the space to want to mess with this today. No. Say no to that. It's an interesting thing in Christ consciousness, and it's taught in A Course in Miracles. And I remember my first reaction to it was like, that's odd. Where Jesus describes you have to protect the Christ voice in yourself. We're not talking about just like Christ in fundamental Christianity. We're talking about the Christ, the divine in us, the I am presence. So here the Course in Miracles, who says this whole world's an illusion anyway, says you have to protect the Christ child. And I thought, if it's all an illusion, why do we have to protect the Christ child? And downloads started happening. Because while you're still in the infancy of your awakening into Christ consciousness, you're still, any of us, we're still susceptible to hearing voices to the contrary of Christ consciousness. So you can't just go, well, guess what? I went to a workshop that mentioned Christ consciousness. I'm good to go now. You can't just sit on a Sunday. You have to plant the seed. That's great. But you don't just go, a seed was planted. You have to water and feed the seed. That's kind of what he means by protect it. But he also means protect it, meaning say no to the stuff that will attack it. The Christ child is only like a child now. The Christ in us, of course, is immune to all the stuff of this world. But the Christ child, by the word child being used, it means it's in its early stages, still subject to, vulnerable to the harsh stuff of this world. So deciding to allow the Christ I am presence in you to be born doesn't mean everything just goes perfectly well. In fact, it sends out alerts to the universe, beings that are not so kind, and says, oh, look at this. We have a being that's deciding to awaken the Christ. Who's going to go after him? Legion. Let's get a bunch of us going after him. That's what happens. And it feels unfair. And it kind of is unfair. But it's how we set things up. We set up a world that we're outnumbered. There's 8 billion egoic people now on the planet versus however few are choosing to say, God or nothing, man. I'm going to center in and set my course in Christ consciousness. So we're like a minority. Now, the good news, flipping it around again, is it feels like we're a minority, but our job is to imagine that we have 8 billion other souls that are in the awakening with us. Not listen to and feed upon their darkness that some people have. This is not easy, but that's how you become Christed. You actually have to work the process of judgments being peeled off. You asked about judgments. The judgments have to be peeled off. Well, I would like the Christ thing to happen where I just don't even have people being rude. I'm good with that one. That's actually not how this works. Right? That's not how this works. I hope that when you buy a car, you think about test driving it. You check it out. And it's the same with anything. You don't just go to your first day of saying, I'm going to stop drinking. So I'm now a completely recovered alcoholic. Did you do the program? I don't need it because I started 10 minutes ago and I still am good. I haven't drank anything yet. You got to go in and do soul searching and you got to do inventory. There's this process to this. Why does Course in Miracles give you 365 workbook lessons? Why didn't it just give you one? A few words and amen and whoo, the angels started showing up and everything. No, it's like one workbook lesson at a time. And sometimes they're annoying workbook lessons. But it tells you, we should look at why you're annoyed. Well, that annoys me. Exactly. Let's flip to the next page. Waking up is not like just something that just happens automatically. It is a process that involves emptying the old and refilling with the new. It's a process. Or as I've said many times, like if you're from Canada, it's a process. I'm bilingual, so I try to be sensitive to other people. So people, if they're listening to the wrong voice, they verbally, they don't care about harming themselves or others. They might even physically harm themselves or others because this is not the voice of God that they're listening to. It's very tragic. Our job, don't buy into what you see other people doing, which is not always easy. It could be your children turning their backs on you. Now, if your children turn their backs on you or you turn your backs on people that are abusive, if you were abusive, and you say, it's a bummer, my kids won't talk to me anymore. But it's because you were abusive physically and however else for years and years. Here's what I suggest you do. I suggest you be patient and take it. If they're not talking, if you were abusive, because if you can accept it, this is your dues. You'll be done when this lifetime ends. I know it hurts, but you'll be done. Just accept it. You might even say to them, I get it, and I'll back off. You guys are doing the right thing. You're setting boundaries, and I accept it. It's very mature, very responsible. On the other hand, if they are the ones being hurtful and you have to step away, or they turn from you because you won't enable their hurtful behavior, you're actually demonstrating spiritual awakening. That's maturity. That's being responsible. But it's spiritual and psychological maturity. All I'm saying is that when you have collateral damage because of your commitment to a new life, if it's because things you've done, own it. Make amends. People that can't or refuse to make amends, it's because they're throwing a tantrum and it isn't God in them doing it. It's no, I will not. And that's not God speaking. So it's kind of nice when we can humble ourselves and say, oh, I didn't even know I did that. I'm so sorry. It's okay because it clears tensions between people. People have enough tensions already. So to add to the pile of issues that we have in this world, it doesn't make any sense. So I'm so sorry that if some people have said you abused them in some way, or you were irresponsible or negligent as a parent, if you were a parent, or whatever it happens to be. Sometimes, just take it. Just not take abuse, but I'm saying just accept where they're at. And just take some time to breathe. I'm telling you, it's not easy, but you're actually doing your time. You're paying it off karmically. Fight with them about it, and you have to come back and do it again. Just accept it. I'm not talking about a negative. I'm talking about it's a positive. But it also allows them to be where they're at. They're hurt, they're angry. Yeah, but I changed. They're mad at me because I was an addict. But I stopped that 10 years ago. That's not the point. They're hurting back then, not right now. So you have to kind of just, and be gracious. I get where you're coming from. I get it. It's okay. If this is where you have to be, it's okay. One of the most frustrating things in having told people the veils are thinning, so watch out for this and this, is that even when you tell people, sometimes they act like they're listening, but when this stuff actually happens, they don't hear you anymore. They forget that you warned that this was coming. So that can be frustrating because you end up losing friends or family members or loved ones or partners because the blinders came up. Well, that's what they describe in the end of the life of Jesus. They describe this crucifixion and all that went on there. And they describe it strangely as though the Lord allowed blinders to go over the eyes of everyone. And it doesn't mean that God was like, this is going to be fun. I'm going to make all of you blinded to reality, meaning mentally and spiritually blinded. It's a metaphor that people chose not to see what was really happening, and they did what they did to Jesus. But they also do what they do to you. And when they do, we will try to illuminate them. We will try to help them. No. Remember me? Yeah, we're good, right? They sometimes are allowing blinders to come down over their eyes. And you're now arguing with somebody who's psychologically committed to being hateful. Hard to see. Because there's a part of us that goes, if I just said one more thing, it might, well, there's no way to know when that line is drawn because you have to decide when enough is enough and then say, wow. And it is sad that you have to kind of, let some people go for a bit. Just remember, teach others the way of God, and even if they stray, they will one day return. Just be the best example you can be. I know that we all would love everything to go well all the time, but this is Earth. And the planet Earth is 3D, and 3D means a place of karmic lessons. So here we are. We can pretend that it weren't so, we can wish it weren't so, but this is where we're at. And one of you is asking about angels, so I want to just say something real quick about that. Angels are thoughts of God, but so are you. So angels are the thoughts of God that allow themselves to not be tampered with. They choose to remember God. They also choose to do the will of God. Humans got themselves falling further than, into this reality, into illusion, and have forgotten who they are. Therefore, they don't remember the truth of God. Angels are, there's concepts in the Bible or elsewhere that you'll hear where there's legions of angels, groups of angels specifically that sit at the throne of God, flapping their wings. Well, it sounds so weird. That's so three-dimensional in its interpretation. They just sit there and flap their wings. Flapping, they don't have wings. That sounds sacrilegious to angel lovers, I know. It's okay that they have wings in your statues and pictures and paintings because they symbolize something. One reason we gave them wings is because it was mentally our way of saying they can travel effortlessly. But when they flap their wings before the throne of God, all that means is they're holding vibration. The flapping of the wings means like a hummingbird. So angels are holding space, holding perfect space before the throne of God. A vibration of God's will. So here's what they do. They receive from God constant thoughts of love. They flap their wings, and in flapping their wings, just like when you're doing this to somebody in healing, flapping their wings, they're downloading the vibration, the will, the love of God down to lower layers. And the next layer of angels pass it down, till you get to thrones and principalities and archangels and angels and even guardian angels. All for the sake of one thing, passing down the will of God, the consciousness of God. And humans just sit around going, "Did you hear something?" I didn't know. Like they just miss it. I remember one day when I was going through divorce, my partner and I, we went and sat in a lawyer's office. And he came into the little meeting room. There's this big table. And I have weird stories about everything, but, even divorce. So we go in, we sit down, lawyer comes in. And he's walking in, and how nice to see you folks, nice to meet you. And he comes in and he's going to sit down. As he's sitting down, I see this ball of light shoot into his body. Now, funnily enough, my ex is pretty sensitive too. So she was like, and she looked at me and I'm like, and the guy actually went, and I swear, and he goes, "Well, that was weird." And then he just sat down. So I'm looking at her, she's looking at me, we're like, I got you, babe. But even in a place like that, but he was like, "Oh, that was weird." What did he think? He was going to burp or something? Like, to him, it was like, that was weird, but it isn't weird. It's the norm. And more, as the veil's thin, people are going to not just feel something weird, they're going to see it too. And their mind's going to try to deny it and push it away. But all of this is going to become more and more the common. The vibrations from certain angels down to where we're in touch with that, because we're in touch with angels that are thoughts of God. But the thoughts won't be adverse. They won't be contrary to the thoughts, the consciousness of these angels. The consciousness of God that goes to the angels, even while we're still in dimensionality, can go all the way down to the right here and now, and you can still know the truth of God. But it means getting out of the way. Well, how so getting out of the way? You have to want nothing else. Be vigilant for the voice of God. Want to hear nothing else. Choose to hear nothing else. Don't bother with anything else. And here's a good reason why. Because there is nothing else. All you're doing is hallucinating when you think there's something else happening. That's why Jesus could confidently say, "Forgive them, they know not what they do." He wasn't being flippant. He was saying, one day everyone is going to know that even the abusive people never had power over you. It's all okay. People don't understand that yet, but they're coming to that. It's all okay. But how are you going to know that if you don't test drive it? So we're going to, in the meantime, we're going to hear this stuff. We're going to be pushed, our buttons pushed, tempted, betrayals, all kinds of things, so that you can comb out some more knots, forgive this, pull away judgment there, until it all just starts to become smoothly our consciousness. But if you are an artist, a parent, whatever you do in life, especially if you stand in a place of like a teacher, a counselor, a role, a sponsor, of being a leader for others, be very careful, because the more you hold yourself to a certain name, label, you better live to that, because to that level will come the evil to match you and push your buttons. And there are days you're going to say, I just wish I was a moron. I wish I knew nothing. I wish I just was hateful, no consciousness. Then I wouldn't have any tests against me because I'd be part of the evil world. They'd go, oh, you're one of us. You just look like a gargoyle. And so everybody's looking the same. And they won't push your buttons. You start to clean up your act. It's a funny thing. It's a funny thing. It's not 60 seconds after you decide to be clean and sober. Just give it a little while. The longer you're waiting, the more you start feeling and hearing the call for that. Because darkness doesn't like silence and stillness. And there's a good reason why it doesn't. Because on the other side of silence is the light of God, the presence of God. So when you sit still and you work on yourself, meditation, communion, prayer, sobriety of any kind, pulling away from the reactions of the world, reactiveness of the world. It's like that's all the doing and all the frenetic storms, and you pull into the center of meditation, stillness, quiet, beautiful. That's not God yet, by the way. But on the other side of that is God. When we fell, we went from oneness with God, bliss and so on, to the void, silence. Then came chaos and all creation as we know it. Reverse that and you'll hear there's the last step, the first step coming in and the last step going out. What did I say? The void, silence. The children of God went silent, meaning they lost connection with God. Everything went dark for a moment. And then we filled the darkness with the Big Bang, the chaos, and all that became our lives and the world. So when you every time you return, like Yogananda has taught, every time you return to stillness, to quiet, you're almost home. Even if you only do this for a moment, you get a little bit more downloads into that void. Now, I'm not saying stop at the void. Choose to commune with the presence of God. Step through the void, but don't you do it. Go to the void and ask for the presence of God. Course in Miracles teaches God then reaches to the void and pulls you through. Don't try to take heaven by storm. I'm here. Accept it. That's just not going to work well. So I've seen examples of this. I mean, in our day-to-day lives, I've seen, I remember, and no offense if this is you and you're in the audience here, but I've heard stories of somebody who said they weren't going to come back to the center anymore. Well, why? What was this? Usually I'm not even told these things, but it eventually was mentioned. Somebody said they're not coming back because they don't like that you don't support the use of hallucinogenics for finding God. I never said that. I'm a little stoned right now. No, I'm kidding. I never said that. I said, do what you want. I don't, to judge you for it would mean, what right do I have to even speak to you if I'm judging you for what you do? It's fine. All I'm saying, though, is that if you find that eating kale makes your crown chakra buzz, that's fine. I'm glad your crown chakra is buzzing. I'm only saying that one day you're going to be able to put the kale down and just choose to let your crown buzz. That's all I was saying. But somebody used that as, I'm never going back. Why? Because they already wanted to have a reason to distance from Christ consciousness. So they use kale as their, kale's just made up. Don't take it literally, but you're now going to be in Safeway a couple hours from now going, this dude was totally dissing kale, man. And then somebody's going to overhear it. That's what Christ consciousness is doing. It hates kale. You have no idea the kinds of things people go into. But, there are these kinds of things that go on, these kinds of reactions people have and stories they make up. And it's just kind of weird and ludicrous, but forgive them, they know not what they do. Why are they doing it? Everything's so symbolic. When you are clean and sober, and you visit with friends you used to party with, listen, you become a symbol of clean and sober, which is light shining in a dark place, that they could go, I want what he's having, she's having. But it also happens where we don't like you because you're a light that we resent. We're not there yet. So you see what I'm saying? Your presence annoys them. It could shine light. It could annoy them. Well, which one? How do I do that? You can't control their reactions to your presence. Just do your best. How do you know if you've done wrong? If you're preaching to them, if you're telling them, I used to be messed up like you. You need to be more like me. You're wrong. You're off. Just be the presence. Let them see, God, I want to smile more often like you do. You seem so patient compared to the old days, that sort of thing. And you're bringing a different reality. Doesn't that make sense? It's beautiful. And if you've ever done that, and most people have, it's just so tempting to want to do it more. It's just because it makes so much sense. So this is something that people struggle with all the time. Just know that this too shall pass. When you're the one who's waking up and people get a little triggered, understand this too shall pass. If you can't take the heat, stay out of the kitchen. If waking up means people are, your kids or your ex or whomever, they don't want to talk to you because you're clean and sober, and I've seen this happen in 3D world many times. People that lost friendships, band members that were kicked out of bands because they got clean and sober. It's rude for people to be that way, but understand why they do it. If you're preaching and wronging them and shaming them, you deserve to get kicked out. Because I'd rather be them peacefully stoned than to hear you telling us how messed up we are. You're the one making the mistake. But if you're holding presence and people don't like it, don't apologize for that, man. Just move on your own way. Be where they can, like Jesus mentions in the Gospels. Just kick the dust off and move on. Don't even look back. Another metaphor from Sodom and Gomorrah. Just don't even look back. Just keep the way of God, man. I'm just walking the path of God. And part of this, we have to bring in the concept of being of service. How does that tie in? It ties in perfectly, completely. Being of service. Now, it's great to be of service. It's great. In other words, graduate from just working on your stuff to the result of having worked on it. I feel cleaner, so smile more. I feel clearer. I'm more prosperous. Tithe, give, share, shine, smile. Show people the results of sobriety. If you just go, hi, good to see you, man. Yeah, man. And, I've been clean and sober for years now, man. It's really working out for me, And you're like, chewed your fingernails down to, yeah, I don't have fingers anymore because I chew. You're not impressing them. I know it sounds irreverent, but you're not impressing them. And I don't want you to fake like you're at peace because that's harmful to you, and I don't want you to hurt yourself. But I am saying, learn the good news of the Lord. Learn the good news of sobriety. Come to a place of the benefit. I am a better parent. Can you see it? You see? I'm be just this beautiful, shining example of light. And there are people out there who don't know that, it's one thing to shine your light when things are going well. But Jesus sort of talks about that. It's easy to say you believe in God when things are going your way. That's not the group I'm talking about. So there are people who shine their light, but that's a little bit uncertain as to whether that's real because things are going your way. That doesn't mean don't be happy when things are going your way. But remember the humility that you weren't always there. So give thanks for whatever you've done to bring yourself to a place of greater health, wealth, wisdom, etc. But saying all this another way, there are people out there that don't even know that even when the chips are down, even when things are going badly, you can still be happy and of service to others. There are people that don't even know that. That's one group. Then there's another group who things could be going great. Even when things are going great, they will not be of service. They will not be helpful. They will not give. They will not smile because either they actually hate other people so much or they love themselves too much. So watch for where you're at in this. Do I have that thing where I just don't even know I could do more? Then see it now. Or are you the group I have health and wealth or whatever it happens to be. I didn't know I could shine that light, but now I know, but I still don't because I really don't like people very much. Or you might say, I can see where I've loved myself too much. Myself being my money, my health, it's all I, me, mine. Then there's another group, which we would generically say are like light workers, that whether they, when they have, they tithe, they shine light, they give. They're the people who pay tolls, for the car behind them. They're the people who help people in the grocery line. They're the, people who, hey, somebody's glasses were, that's the light worker. Okay, that's the light worker. And the downside, and whoever's on that level, the third level here, should reach back and help people from the first couple levels I described to become like that. Teach them that they can afford to smile. They can afford to tip to waiters and waitresses, whatever they're calling it, servers or whatever. Flight attendants, whatever topic, hotel concierge, baggage people. Give where you can for people that help you, that do things for you. Somebody charges you $20 to mow your lawn, give them an extra $5, whatever, wherever you can afford. To smile more, tithe more, give more, shine your light more. Great. Light workers, that next category, they do that. But the downside is that even light workers that are benevolent and very giving, still, when things aren't going their way, they can pull back into, I can't afford to give anything today. I can't smile, that sort of thing. There's a next category that are more like the daughters of heaven in this world. And those are the people that know that even when things aren't going my way, how can I be helpful? Watch me in my day-to-day life, I'm such a light worker, as long as things are going my way. I'm such a light worker. I open doors for people and so on and so on. It's beautiful. And it's also okay because light workers also know to respect healthy boundaries. I can't afford it today. I can't go out and give presents and shine my light. I'm hurting too much. That's not bad. That's a healthy boundary. I think, God bless them. Because at least they're not like the others. They do give more, shine light more. But there's another group, the daughters of heaven types of people, which are, even when things are going just horribly wrong, you don't fail to smile at a child to make it smile. You don't fail to pick up somebody's groceries that they started dropping. You don't say, well, lady, I'd love to help you, but things just aren't going my way enough today. I understand it. I do, that you're not in that space, and you should own that. You should own that you're not in that space. Just accept that. Yeah, I would love to be more outgoing today and more shine my light more, but it's just not there. I can't. Just own it. And you can even say to God, God, I really wanted to shine more light, but it's been like a week and a half now. Things are just going horribly wrong. Fine. Advice. First, prayer. Not help me, not get me out of this mess. God, I'd probably help more of your children if you just get things to go my way. Like God's going to go, oh, well, I didn't realize. By all means, let's get everything to go your way. You can't bargain with God. God's going to say, oh, sounds like a missed opportunity. Because growth, when things are going your way, is nice, steady, but only a certain speed and pace. When things aren't going your way and you can still step up with a smile and love and so on, wow. It's like you just jettison, man, miles ahead of where you were. And there's reasons for that. First, why should I be helpful if I'm not feeling good? And even if I am feeling good. First, if it's not common sense, it's the right thing to do, isn't it? Yes or no? Yes, it's the right thing to do. Secondly, do you realize it could save a soul? You don't know what kind words you said today made a difference in someone's life. I'm a fairly sensitive soul in a lot of ways. So, I remember going to a meal after a workshop with a handful of the facilitators, there's assistants and so on. We went, and I remember everybody sitting and talking and eating. For me, much of the time of that dinner conversation, I was like this, watching this waitress, and I could just feel the pain she was in, even though on the outside she's smiling and doing this and that. And the whole time I'm in prayer, like I'm aware of her, and I'm holding space, and I'm asking if there's anything I could do or should do. So in a way, when you get that level of awareness to want to help people, you can sometimes it becomes your whole method of life. It's like, you know what I'm saying? It becomes your thoughts. It's there all the time. You don't have to go to that extreme, but just don't be surprised. that if you suddenly win the lottery and have all this money, you suddenly become aware of other people that don't have anything. Or you'll shut it off like the other extreme and not want to help them because you don't care. My point being that when you enter being a healed, when you're a hairdresser, what do you think you most often notice about people? Hair. It just happens. When you're into fashion, you notice clothing. When you're a light worker, a daughter of heaven, when you're a miracle worker, you notice where help is needed. Now you can say, I don't recommend that everybody be maybe as sensitive as I am, because sometimes it's overwhelming, but I'm just used to it. So most of the time it works out okay. But I'm watching this person, and that's what happens more and more to us. I could have a down day, but I'm still able to see others in need. Pray and help. You'll help them. But also remember, any words, like words I shared with that person, can change their life forever. Think about that. Change even one person's life forever, which means that will affect everybody they're around. So if you do nothing on this planet except help one person make a difference in their life, it becomes feathers on your wings to take you higher. It really does make a difference. And, it also creates good karma to help others, to think about others even when you're struggling. It's good karma. But that's not why you do it. Well, I don't really want to help them, but I hear it's good karma. No, that's not the right reason to do it. But understand, it is good karma, but it also lifts us out of dark times. When dark times come your way and you've helped another during dark times, it helps you navigate dark times. Got that? So there's plenty of reasons to want to make a difference in this world. And how you do it is, unique to you. Where are your limits? Where are your boundaries? They're whatever you believe are your limits. You might say, I can only help this much, and so it is, the universe says. I can only help in this way, but not that way, and so it is. So it's beautiful because the Divine Mother will comply with your beliefs. If you don't believe you can be helpful this week, she says, and so it is. My beloved, take a break. That's not usually how we deal with it. We start to go into guilt, shame, I shouldn't be able to take a break. She's just like, where are you going, man? What's up with you? I said, and so it is, so rest. Try a hot tub, Well, I would if I could afford one. Try hot water in a bathtub. It's a hot tub. Well, I would, but I didn't pay the water bill because I'm broke and I don't have hot water. Okay. Heat up some water on a stove and then pour it over yourself. No. But there was a time in the 90s when life coaching was becoming probably one of the most popular themes in people's studies and soul's purpose and counseling skills. Life, coaches. Some of them started splintering off from being just life coaches to being mentors. It's called mentors. Do you remember that? It's still there. I mean, it still happens. But what started happening is people would call me and say, hi, can I hire you to be my mentor? And I'd say, no. Oh, well, why? Because that motivational teacher and that life coach is doing it, I know. But I don't want to be your mentor because it'll cost you too much. Because mentors started charging $10,000 for 90 days of complete support anytime you need, and they'll give you advice and sort of coach you in through your life. It's cool, you commit to it, so it becomes very effective. And it's great. The fact is, they became people that are like mentors. It's almost like mature versions of life coaches. So it makes sense that if you're a life coach, you would want to go another level and become a mentor. It shows progress. Do you see how that could make sense that way? So they became mentors, and now they're charging $10,000, per 90 days or whatever it is. And you can call them and they'll give you advice. And they're intelligent. They're supposed to be intelligent enough and intuitive enough to help you through your life one-on-one. Here's what I told people, which makes no sense to anybody else. It's too expensive. I don't want to be your life coach. It's too expensive for you. I can only do it if it's free. What? Wait, you're gonna mentor me for free? Yeah. Call me anytime and so on. But if I'm going to be your mentor, I'm not going to be a mentor. I'm going to be a friend. Here's my number, and I'd give my number to those few people. Here's my number. Call me when you need. That's my version of mentoring. Totally weird because there's no money involved. If you're going to mentor somebody, you could get all kinds of money. My mind wouldn't allow me to do that. Now, some people get it. And some people would say, oh man, you must have lack consciousness that you're not, yeah, whatever. Yeah, I'm lacking consciousness. So, but do you see what I mean by that? I understand the value of it. And some of my friends, colleagues were doing this, and I all praise to them. Congrats. All they needed was 10 clients a year and they made $100,000. Wow, that's good job for you, man. That's amazing. But it's not how I could do it. Jesus himself told his apostles, I've been your rabbi, I've been your teacher, et cetera, et cetera. But starting today, I no longer call you students and so on. I call you my friends. Why was that? Because the greatest mentoring you can give to people is to be a friend. But he also adds that a friend would give up their life for you. Now, I don't mean that they'll die for you. It means give up your egoic life. The girl I married back in, after high school, but I met her in high school. One of the things that impressed me about her was her commitment to God, first of all. But I remember also she was smoking and drinking at the time. And I said, I'm not really into that. She gave it up. She gave up her life for me. Now, not literally, but she gave it up for the relationship. I couldn't say no now. And I mean that in a complimentary way. You see what I mean by that? So a true friend will give up their ego for you. They'll say, you know what? My ego's let me set aside addiction, selfishness, hurtfulness, rudeness. Let me make some changes here. Now, I have said, there's occasionally been, people that are associated with the center and they have issues or they're a little edgy. They snap a lot, anger and whatever, compete or whatever else their issue is. And some people say, why do you allow that person to be here? Because I'm bizarrely, infinitely patient. I am. I really am. But I do have one standard. As long as I see progress, I'll hang in there with somebody. Now, others might not, and I don't recommend that they should, because if they're not, they could put themselves in harm's way by trying to be patient beyond their limit. I just feel pretty fine about it, hanging in there. So when we look at this from the bigger picture, to try to hang in there, to be infinitely patient, unless there's more harm than good, maybe you can learn to hang in there. Once the harm is greater than the good, generally, that's a good rule of thumb to say that's where you draw the line. But for me, friendships, for me, I'm like that. I'm saying, well, anybody could charge you $10,000. And this is how my mind works. Anyone can charge you that's fine. And I've heard some people go, well, I spent $10,000, I had to get a loan, and they're upset about it. I want no regrets. We'll be friends. And these people are overseas, and my phone was always on, 24/7. There was just a rule. If you call me or if I call you back or whatever, it's wherever I am. So don't tell me I need you to park the car. I'm driving and I'm talking to you. You have to accept that this is how the rules work, So, I'm not exaggerating. In those days, I would be talking to somebody while I'm shampooing hair in a shower. I have no limit to what I can say and where I can say it. It's beautiful. I don't go, well, I would give you good advice, but I'm showering right now, and bad advice tends to come through when I'm showering. No, be cool, be centered all the time, wherever you are. So I would do this, and this was my life, 24/7. Phone sitting next to my bed all the time on. And some people were like, oh, that's crazy, you can't. I can do anything I want because I know I can do it. I don't need sleep. When I've helped somebody, I've rested. Because the good karma, the energy from being helpful, you grow, you shine light. And it will help, it'll happen once in a while. 1 in every 100 times, a session, a partner, a friend, whatever. I slip, we slip, something goes a little wonky. If you're helping people and things go wonky, just learn from it and move forward. Never let it take away your desire to be helpful to people because one took it poorly. One misunderstood it. One didn't like it. And you'll be tempted. You'll be a musician who, oh my God, it means everything for me to come out and play music, and somebody's going to not like it. That doesn't mean they all didn't like it, but somebody. If that caves you in, man, then you've got to do some more inner work to where your light is shining outward so brightly, it shines away the negative reactions you might have had. But look at yourself. Be responsible. Why is it bothering you? I've shared this story before, but I've had it happen. And I remember, long story short, I remember in an airport once there was a gal who was sitting on the ground in the car rental place. And we had come in late. The flight was late, and we're sitting, I'm in line. And there's this girl with a newborn baby in her lap, and she's crying. And I'm thinking, well, you don't see this every day in a car rental place. Like, what's that? So I got up to the front of the line. I said, dude, what's that about? He said, well, she doesn't have her credit card to be able to rent a car. So what are you guys going to do? We're closing in 5 minutes. She's going to be sent out the door in the streets of Los Angeles with her baby. And I'm like, well, can't you do? He's going, we can't. No, what are we going to do? She doesn't have her card. We can't do anything. So I'm like going into mode of like, this doesn't make sense. So I gave my card, and she was so grateful. And wow, it's a miracle working. This girl now has a rent-a-car. And then she decided to turn it in like zillions of days later. And so I get a call, and my card has been charged thousands of dollars for the rent-a-car. Now, as a human being, I heard I got the message, and I'm in a hotel because I'm always on tour in these days. And I'm just pacing and pacing in the room. Upset stomach. What did I do wrong? What did I do wrong? God, I was thinking, and there was this girl, and she was crying, the baby, and see, and this is what we do. We beat ourselves up sometimes. And it's okay to question yourself. It's okay to go, did I get that right? Because it feels weird. But I remember feeling so horrible. I remember pacing. I couldn't sleep that night because I was so down on myself, because I take it seriously that I want to be helpful. But I think I screwed up this time somehow, because I'm getting billed thousands, and my travel agent's going, you idiot, what did you do, man? And I'm like, blah, 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 and they're like, well, Michael, your card's being nicked and I can't do anything about it. To their credit, they worked the phone and called the president, whatever, the rent-a-car place, and they got it brought down a little bit. So that was, and I appreciate even the effort. But somehow, what came to mind is this voice that said, Michael, here's how you can look at this. If this were happening again tonight, and you saw a girl sitting on the floor, crying with a baby, being sent out to the street, no family, no anything in this region to come to her aid, would you do it again? What's the answer? Yes. Then I heard, then shut up. No, I didn't hear that. It was along those lines. Meaning, if you know that it was the right thing, the questioning isn't coming from God. Oh. So what you really mean, God, picture God talking to me, counseling me now. So what you really mean to say, Michael, is that it's upsetting. It is. That you were tempted to think it was the wrong, yes, but it was the right thing, wasn't it? Yes, it was. And it's just a bummer you're going to lose a little money over it too, yes. And that's all, because the money, whatever, that doesn't mean that much to me. So it's fine. Is that making sense? When you judge yourself, don't be surprised. Even if your stomach's upset and you're pacing and, biting your, oh my God, what have I done? What have I done? Relax, because it isn't God treating you like that. It's you. It's not wrong. I find that it makes you conscientious to have a conscience that says, did I make a mistake? It's good to ask yourself, did I make a mistake? But at the end of the day, ask other questions. Like Buddha used to say, ask questions, relevant, rational questions to dismantle what otherwise would have been excessive self-abuse. So when I heard, you know what, at the end of the day, I would do it again tomorrow, I knew it was right. And then everything starts decompressing. And when you have God with you, what could be against you? And then it just happened, like a miracle happened, and the rent-a-car brought the cost down more, and I don't remember what else was in, like there might have been insurance that covered such things. So it almost ended up where little or nothing that I ended up being hit with. You see? When you get the inside lesson, the outside starts kind of unwinding a bit more. You don't get it, you're going to keep everything stuck and tangled up. Whether it's relationships, conversations, communication issues, whatever, always come back, bless you, always come back to your center in God. And that For how long? I don't, till the end of time. Always come back to your center. Voices are going to try to pull you off this way and that way. Keep coming back to God, no matter what. Will people always honor that? No. But the relevant people, the important people that see it, that's all that matters. Other people don't see it. Trust me, you've still planted seeds. You have. You still planted seeds. Even my telling you the story could make you go, oh, that helps me alleviate some tension I had around, I thought, a bad decision here. It can also help you tomorrow when you're making decisions. Does this for sure feel like it's the right thing? So just hearing about it, and then people are going to hear you do it or watch you do it and be amazed and changed in themselves. So miracles are never little curios you put on a shelf somewhere in your house. They actually grow and grow and grow. They don't stop. They don't become stuck in a little box to view on your nightstand. You tell a miracle, you share a miracle, and it just keeps affecting people more and more and more. It just keeps growing. Is that all feeling right? Okay. Please take a few centering breaths. Very important to review what you heard today. Just casually. Let God help you. Whatever things I've heard today that don't make sense to me, aren't true for me, I can effortlessly let them go. That's beautiful. You don't have to fight with them, argue with them, just let them go. But anything that did make sense, anything that does seem helpful to you, hear it or see it again, entering your mind. Breathe it in as part of your reality. Own it. It never does any of us any good if anyone leaves this center just simply saying, Michael said. If it's true for you, then own it so that you can bring it to other people. And believe it or not, you can't be as effective telling other people these wonderful downloads you're receiving that you like, the ones you like, by, if you tell them you got it from me, they won't hear it as much as if they see it demonstrated in you. So that makes you, in the moment, the greater teacher. But step up and own that. Not arrogantly, just step up and own it. Every time I hear truth, read truth, feel truth, have downloads of truth, they add to who I am. And I'm so grateful, Father, Mother, God, that they make me a greater soul, a greater reflection of my own Christ presence. Sure, I'm grateful to the author of this, the teacher of that. I really appreciate and honor and respect teachers that have done the work and brought this to me. But now it's mine to own as consciousness. And I can't wait to bring this to the world. Show me, Holy Spirit of God, show me our Divine Mother, who to bring this to, how and when, in what ways to bring it and not bring it. Guide me in every way. Let the Holy Shekinah be my guide. Let that light that led the Israelites, that light that spoke to people in indigenous cultures around campfires, let that light be the one developing in my own inner heaven consciousness. And ultimately, that light is the light of Christ, meaning the light of God's presence within my being. Let today's meditation be one of more deeply than usual absorbing the download of consciousness, God's consciousness, light, presence. It can take the form of a word like peace. It could be peace and healing. It could be love and abundance. It could be joy and creativity. But breathe in that beautiful, gentle presence of God, integrating it. Everything in life and in the world is symbolic. When you become clean and sober, you're a symbol of that. Some people will like it, some people will not. When you have the words, even the words, spiritual center, focused on Christ consciousness, spiritual center, then we're a symbol of your spiritual center. Love this, you love your spiritual center in you. Hate this, and you're fearing or resenting something about a symbol of your spiritual centeredness. If you see creative people and love it, it's a symbol of yourself. If you hate it, it's a symbol of yourself. But which symbol do you want? For the last moments, just visualize us all rising. Wherever we are in the world watching this, even if you watch this 10 years from now, visualize us all rising and beginning to just rock back and forth, forward and backward, or whatever it is. Just visualize everyone joining in downloads of light from God. Visualize the highest heavens downloading light through our crown into our hearts, and it ignites our bodies to move. And we start to move into hand mudras and dance-like movements, Tai Chi-like movements. And there's smiles on our faces. Like the angels flapping their wings, you're downloading vibration to the people around you. Visualize it happening in this room and extending to anyone living anywhere watching the program. There's no such thing as time and space, just seems to be. So let's download this frequency, and we're all starting to move and celebrate and dance and twirl and laugh. Download this. Just like it comes from God to us, share it, always share. And even when you're not in a bad mood, just try to imagine being in a better mood, or at least if you're in a bad space, be in a bad space fully, cry. Scream into a pillow, let it move so you make more room for God. Don't shame yourself for it, just own it. And when you're ready, choose to give it up and replace it with something new. But send this out to the whole world. Political leaders, all of them, not ones you like, all of them. My God, the peace of God to you all. Every president, former president, doesn't matter who they are, what they did, just all of them, light of God in their hearts. I bless you with the peace of Christ. Religious leaders, people troubled throughout the world. Somewhere on the planet right now, there are children crying and wishing something would save them from the horrible circumstances they're in. Give them an answer. Don't leave them there. The light of God is with you, I promise, you tell them in their mind. I'm blessing you with an inner strength, and this too shall pass. The hurtful people around you will soon be gone, I promise. Download love to all beings throughout all time. People going through addiction recovery, people going through divorce, people who've lost loved ones in war or otherwise. Let's give them all the love they deserve. I'm so sorry for the struggles. And notice that I didn't ask only those of us that are in a good mood this week. I just asked everybody to do this, because this can shift your karma, your dark night of the soul. This can bring light to us by shining our light to others. Father, Mother, God, if and when I struggle, help me to forgive myself. And anything that has brought this on that might involve issues, judgments, unhealed wounds with others, let me also extend this to them. Forgiveness for us all. So that I can then stand and rise with my arms outstretched, feeling a download of your love into my being, so that I can bring even new layers of light and love of God to this world. As said by a great being, free at last, Thank God Almighty, we are free at last. And we give thanks that this is a permanent shift within our being. And so it is. Thank you. Gradually come back to the room. In a moment, we'll take up our collection, but just briefly, can anyone share what you heard or felt, experienced in the meditation or in the sharing that we did that feels right for you, that was important for you to hear, or that might make a difference in your life or the people around you?
Be of service.
Be of service.
Came to pass, didn't come to stay.
That's a good one. You know, this too shall pass. He said, you know, it came to pass, it didn't come to stay. That's brilliant. Yes.
There's rest in giving to people.
There's rest in giving to people. You know, and it's okay if you don't. Please remember, when you need to feel like hurting, let it be. Sometimes that's just fine. Don't let it ever take you over. But just let it be. It came to pass. Don't let it stay. Perfect. Who else? Yes.
God's light shining through me. I am.
God's light shining through us. That's the I am presence. Who else had their hands up? Yes.
Meditation, how I created, first it was just light, but then it created a holy fire that just rained down on me.
Oh, nice. The meditation feels like it created a holy fire that rained down upon everybody in the best of ways. Yes.
Hearing of the angels in that way just allowed me to feel that vibration coming in as well as the vibration of Peter going out. It was
Yes.
beautiful.
Yes. Hearing about angels in that way. We've done that in our Wednesday healing class, which is this Wednesday, by the way. We have a healing circle every other Wednesday. And one week we did that because we do various exercises and techniques in healing self and others. But we did that the vibrating. Well, it's just a vibrating. How's that healing? It isn't. It comes from your thoughts that are going into the vibration. So we did this in this circle once where concentrating on peace and healing, for example, as just two-word example, and then taking that and letting it vibrate into the various centers, chakras of people. It's a great healing technique. Who else had their hand up? Yes?
Through the visualization, I imagine myself in a container with the person's hurt.
Well,
We transition to
nice.
alignment.
That sometimes, you know, seeing yourself in that container with people that are hurting and then transitioning that with them. Absolutely. A couple more in the center section. We're back there. Who was it? Yes.
I've been practicing this gifting for some time and really screaming into the pillow because it's going left.
Yeah.
And I just feel encouraged and strengthened because I'm practicing.
Nice.
And I'm going to hit a home run.
Absolutely.
Whatever, I'm practicing.
Yeah. Yeah. Just doing the work, you know, doing the work of healing and consciousness. And you're seeing it, like even techniques like scream the stuff, you know, into a pillow. Wash the pillow occasionally, by the way. Wouldn't that be great? Out on the bell rock, you bring a pillow. Oh, why'd you bring a pillow? I'm going to do a cleansing ceremony on my pillow. This is my rage pillow. You could have embroidered on there, rage, you know, and go out and salt and cleansing, you know. Who else in this section now? Yes.
When you spoke about recovery, you know, having been in recovery myself for 8 years.
Nice
that
job.
aha moment, the resentments carried, though you're not necessarily, you know, we learn not to like preach.
Yes.
But just my own presence and that creating resentments was helpful.
Nice. Yeah, not creating resentments and not preaching, because that can create resentments in people. And then we're sometimes dumbfounded. I was just being benevolent. And I guess you don't get it. Well, if you were preaching, if you know, going overboard, but you do what you can, you know, within reason, and still people will question your intentions. You could be doing the most loving kinds of things. All you can do is go, that's the greatest I could think of in the moment. And if that wasn't right for you, I'm sorry. Now they're either going to continue hating you, which means this, they already wanted to. That's what it means. Or they're going to go, thank you for letting me know, and I get it now. But when people are determined to judge, hate, find fault, that's what they're going to do. It's kind of a bummer. And you'll be able to tell with family members, they're just waiting. Friends, people, you could just tell when they're just like watching, so that they can pounce. And, that's a hard thing to see with people that you love. Jesus saw what Judas was going to do. And it's a funny thing in closing. It's a funny thing because Jesus didn't go, please don't. That makes me feel bad. That's not what he did. What did he do? Judas, you know that thing you're going to do? How did you know? What do you mean, how did I? Oh, that's right. You're Christ. Okay. You know that thing you're going to do? Go and do it. Meaning, I don't want to hear it. Don't make excuses. You're already determined to do it, so go. And I don't mean for you to be as firm with your friends and so on, but when you see people are determined to find fault, they're going to do it. So what I do is typically go, just help them a little. Sorry. It just sounds so funny to say it that way, but I just help them a little. You can just tell they're going. So I'll just, it'll just come to me, something to say to help things along. Not hurtfully rude, but I could just tell. And I might even just talk very beautifully, rationally with, and let them know I see it happening. And, but like Jesus said, just go. We already know this is what you're going to do. And that's how I felt with people before. When they're determined, when you know your partner's fallen in love with somebody else, it doesn't mean it doesn't hurt because you're spiritually aware. But sometimes it's like, this hurts, but you are in love with someone else or you're attracted or whatever you're going to do. So sometimes it's okay for you to just go, you know what? This is good for us to use as a done message. You see what I mean by that? I understand that some of, but listen. Sometimes, not all the time, sometimes it's just nice to go, let's just use this as our ending. And it's so clean, as opposed to trying to get them to change, which is not always the general theme of what happens. Shaming them for what they did. So you want to be married to an object of shame? It's better just to go, wow. More often than not, when you've ended a job, they fired you. When you ended a relationship, they cheated. More often than not, I swear, you already knew it was happening or coming. And the average human being does not want to own that. And you don't have to own it, but at least own the possibility that you knew. To say you didn't know means you're not intuitive or psychic at all. Not even instinctive at all. Which kind of means that you actually are affirming you're like a brick, no consciousness. And I don't believe that. I'm not saying it's easy, but I'm saying on some level, you knew before you lost your job. You knew before you had an accident. We know everything, but humans love to pretend they don't so that they can feel like victims and resent those who were the messengers. It's very empowering, difficult, but empowering thing to say, nothing happens by chance. I'm aware of everything, as Edgar Casey put it, and I've shared that several times here, but as Edgar Casey put it, you know every major event downloads into your consciousness on some level. The way he put it, every major event of your life before it happens, you saw it in your dreams because your dreams are one of your intuitive download places. But most people are, I had the weirdest dream. I was twiddling my thumbs and I watched a falling star. And, how was I to know it meant that while I'm in denial of what's going on in my relationship, the star of my life, my husband, wife, left me. I wasn't going to know that. See, it's just denial. So check in. Ask for those downloads. Be more plugged in and courageous enough to get those downloads. Thank you so much. We're going to do our collection and our closing prayer, both of which combined probably take 5 minutes. Please be as generous as you can be. Oh, you didn't do that? Okay, got it. Thank you. Got it. Be as generous as you can be. We appreciate it. Your donations go in the bags, but your extra donations, like for people of lesser means or sometimes for special projects, those go in the baskets. The one we're working on now, and we appreciate we got some nice donations for it, we're replacing all the fluorescent lights in the building. So the first thing we're doing are the ones not in this room, all the others, and then we'll shift gears soon and get the rest done. But any extra donations you can have are going to go towards that. Please hold your love offering to your heart, symbolically saying, my heart blesses this, and I mean this sincerely, when we say, divine love flowing through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. And so it is. While they're passing the baskets and bag around, you can join me in repeating our mission statement. Together, please. The global center for Christ consciousness is a spiritual center for students and masters on the spiritual path. We are dedicated to awakening the inner Christ and to creating a world of love, peace, joy, and abundance. And so it is. Thank you. A couple of quick announcements and then our closing prayer. We want to mention there's a table over there, and there's some closeouts from the bookstore, from our gift store. There's some closeouts. There's the last of those really high-end, they really are high-end crystal prisms that they run like $60 these days, and they're only half that price over there if you'd like to get one. We also received a gift of some boxes of Mother Mary cards, like oracle cards. Those are there for half the price they typically go. Let's see. We have a new member meeting. If you'd like to become a member of the center, meet me in the meeting room over there immediately after service. Just go in and have a seat. We'll have like a 5-10 minute meeting online as well as in person. Done. And keep in mind, we have crystal bed therapy sessions here in the yurt, the round room out there. It's phenomenal. It really is phenomenal, the crystal bed sessions. They're supernatural and they're very powerful. But check it out. You can look up. We have information posted about that. We have flyers on what crystal beds are, but they're phenomenal healing frequency beds that you lay down in. They work all your centers and all that. So we have that. If you're on social media, thank you for joining us. You can like and share and do all those good things. But get on our mailing list if you're in the room or online. Just click the button on our website and get on our mailing list so we can keep you posted on what's going on here. And coming on Sunday, November 30th from 12 to 5, you can join me. We have our workshop at the end of this month, Awakening Christ Consciousness. So you like that, huh? So that's a workshop focusing on exactly that, awakening Christ consciousness, what it means, what it looks like, you know, the challenges, but all the beautiful stuff, the real life of Jesus, Magdalene, Mother Mary, the Essenes, all these different topics we'll cover. And let's see. You have it on here that there's a chaplain meeting. That's not true, right? Good. Okay. In case you don't know, we have Zoom meetings every Monday from 11 for an hour and a half or so, open-ended, any topic. If you want to join that, you go on the Friends of Michael Mirdad Facebook group, and that'll get you entrance into the Zoom group. Every other week, we have Daughters of Heaven Zoom groups. To get in that, go to the Daughters of Heaven Facebook group, and that'll get you entrance to the other group. Today from 1 to 4, though, remember, it's some of the best psychics in the region. We have our monthly Sedona Psychic Fair. So check that out. There's at least one person that typically does healing work, the rest doing readings and so on. And remember that this Wednesday we have our spiritual mentoring circle, our healing circle. So you can, it's kind of learning healing techniques and so forth. We just put a circle together of chairs and folks join us. So you're welcome to do that with us. Lastly, on that table, there are these packets, nice little gift packets, bags. They've got a book of mine, a CD of mine, a greeting card, little Shiva Lingam stones, incense, and a burner. incense burner. There's about $55, $60 worth of stuff in there for like 25 bucks. So if you've got it, and if you don't have it, even 20 would be fine, but we're asking 25 for any of those. We have those packets available. That would be great gift packets that you don't have to think about what to put in there for friends, holidays, for yourself, or whatever. If you're traveling through, and you can check out the bookstore and get all kinds of cool things. But that packet's, if you need to get something a little easier or quicker, it's all in there for you. Okay? Bless you. Thank you so much for joining us. Please stand for our closing prayer. I appreciate the sharing you all did as well, what you gained from the service and our sacred services in general. It's pretty magical, isn't it? It's nice. Walking in the light of God. Deep appreciation. Appreciate your healthy decisions you're making more and more in your life. And appreciate that you're here. There's a lot of places you could be. There's a lot of books you can read that don't feed your soul. Give thanks for the ones you read that do feed your soul. There's a lot of places you could be where it's just not the learning and so forth, just for this hour and a quarter. But you chose this one. A lot of relations and behaviors you can engage in that are not taking you home. So when you do make healthier decisions, remember to own that you're growing. Then you can better affirm the truth of God, such as the light of God surrounds us. We are the light of God. The love of God enfolds us. We are the love of God. The power of God protects us. We are the power of God. And the presence of God watches over us. We are the presence of God. Wherever we go, God is, I am, we are, and so it truly is. Thank you so much. Peace be with you folks online and here. We'll see you.